I'm Jay Taylor. I'm the editor of a newsletter called Jay Taylor's Gold, Energy, and Tech Stocks. I'm here in Vancouver at the Metals Investor Forum. It is May the 25th, 2018. And I'm here with Eric Roth. He is the president and CEO of New Dimensions. It's a company that I just started looking at because, I had actually started looking at it and it looked very interesting, but then I got sidetracked into some other endeavors that I was required to do. So I'm hoping you can give me some basic information about your story and then maybe follow it further, and for the sake of our viewers as well. Tell us why we should pay some attention to it. I think you're a $10 million market cap, something like that.
Correct. Obviously
a news story, some previous projects with a good history in Argentina. I guess that's primarily where you're operating. So just give us the story. Tell us.
Okay, so a little bit of the background, Jay, and thanks for having me here this afternoon.
Absolutely.
So the background really is, so we previously were part of Mariana Resources. I was the chief operating officer. We had some projects in Turkey. Some of your followers will recognize the Hot Martin discovery that we had in Turkey, which was a fantastic high-grade gold-copper discovery in Turkey. Mariana also had a portfolio of projects in Argentina. They also had a portfolio of projects in Ivory Coast. So last July, Mariana was acquired by Sandstorm Gold, who obviously were very interested in the Hot Martin asset. As part of that transaction, they acquired this portfolio of other projects, and in the interim, we've helped them put those projects into new vehicles. So the Ivory Coast projects have gone into Awali Resources, and the Argentine projects have now come into New Dimension Resources. So, and I have taken over the CEO role of New Dimension Resources. So New Dimension was a vehicle. It's a company that's actually been listed for a few years. It's been very quiet the last few years. It has two small projects here in Canada. But this is really a game-changing acquisition for the group. This is, what they've acquired basically is a large portfolio of very prospective projects in, we look specifically high-grade epithermal type projects in Santa Cruz Provence in Southern Argentina. And it's a portfolio that Mariana actually spent since 2006. They've been building this portfolio. A lot of work was done on it. Probably about $20 million has been spent on it until about 2013. Then things went quiet as the Turkish projects came along, and of course, they were such great discoveries that really all of our efforts went into Hot Martin, and these other projects sort of got left on standby for the moment. But really, it's a very attractive portfolio of projects, and on one of the projects, which is Las Calandrias, our flagship project, we do have a modest resource. It's 490,000 ounces gold equivalent. But we see the advantages. There's lots of potential for adding high-grade gold-silver mineralization on a lot of the vein structures that haven't been tested yet. And really, our focus, the upside that I see on the projects really is that, focusing on the high-grade mineralization going forward.
So you've had quite a bit of experience then in this neighborhood, in this Argentinian district, right? That's
correct, Jay. So we previously, before Mariana, I was CEO of Extori Gold Mines. We had the Cerro Moro project, which some of your followers would recognize as the project that we sold to Yamana in 2012. So that was a fantastic discovery, very high-grade gold-silver resource. And also before then, in the 2000s, I was also with Anglo Gold Ashanti. We did a lot of work for Cerro Vanguardia as well, and in the broader district. So the good thing here is that we understand the lay of the land, and we're very familiar operating in this part of the world. So it's very straightforward for us.
So tell me a little bit more about your flagship, your Las Calandrias. What you say, there's a small resource there. What do you see as the potential? What do you know about the geology at this stage? The size of your target and all of that.
Yeah, so Las Calandrias is our flagship project. We have as I say, a relatively modest resource there, 490,000 ounces gold equivalent. Now, most of that resource was focused on a deposit that we call Calandria Sur, which was a dome-hosted bulk tonnage, relatively low-grade system. But also within that global resource, we have some contributions from some high-grade veins, including Calandria Norte. And Calandria Norte is a small deposit right now, which is running about 9 grams. It was, as I say, it was a small contributor to the global resource. But what we plan to do now is basically test for extensions to Calandria Norte and also look at some of the subparallel or parallel vein structures which really haven't been adequately tested previously. You know, in fact, on some of these structures, these will be the very first drill holes. So really what we're looking at is adding more high-grade material along the Calandria Norte trend, and also some of these subparallel structures. And really for us, first prize would be to be able to demonstrate that we can get this to, you know, 1 to 2 million ounces of high-grade mineralization, or better if we can. So, but certainly for us, first prize would be that, to get to that sort of 1 to 2 million ounces of high grade. And when I talk about high grade, we're talking about plus or minus 10 gram material.
Oh, so, really nice stuff for underground.
That's exactly what we look. That's what the target is for us.
For an underground mine.
For underground would be the first prize. That would be preference. But of course, in Patagonia, there are a lot of open pits as well too. So it ultimately depends on the grade distribution and I guess the geometry. But first prize for us would be an underground operation.
So you have a number of projects. It's not just these two that you mentioned. A lot of others. Your strategy for that is to do some work on all of them, some of them, or just. And how's your treasury, and how much money do you have to play with? Excuse me, not to play with, but to put to work.
I know what you mean. So we have a very large portfolio, as you mentioned. It's 860 square kilometres, and this is, as I mentioned, is a portfolio that Mariana has acquired over about since 2006. For us, there will be 3 projects which will be the initial focus, and Calandria obviously is the primary focus, because we can extend a resource that already exists. It makes sense to grow that existing resource. We have another project fairly close, which is a high-grade silver target, which is called Los Cisnes, so that will also be part of the initial drilling. And I guess what we have planned for the next few months is really to do an initial 5,000 metre drill program on those 2 projects, and that will start effectively immediately. The third project that we have, which is, I'll call more advanced, is Sierra Blanca. That's a little bit more to the west, but for the moment we will basically focus on that later in the year. And the rest of the portfolio is much earlier stage. So really we'll sort of look at that in parallel, but really from an advancing the project's point of view, for us the key thing is to grow the resource at Calandrias and make some high-grade discoveries quickly with the drilling. So,
well, high-grade discoveries you've done before.
We have indeed done that before.
A lot of people, you know, it's follow the jockey, as they say, rather than the project. So
correct,
you have a good track record. A very small market cap, news story. It seems to me something that I'll want to look at more carefully. Anything else you'd like to add before we conclude our discussion today?
Yeah, I think just the attractiveness of the portfolio is, look, I'm a strong believer in the project. That's why I've come back to take the control of this. As you mentioned, we've had some great discoveries between Hot Martin in Turkey. We had Cerro Moro in Argentina, which is just down the road from where we are here. So we know what we're looking for, we know what needs to be done, and we can hit the ground running here. So one of the big advantages here, a lot of the preliminary work has been done, the targets have been defined, we get in there, we drill, and we can advance this portfolio very quickly. So that, from an investor standpoint, is a huge plus for the projects, because, you know, we don't need to spend 12 months or longer generating targets. The targets are ready to go. And really what we would like to do is get to September, already be thinking about resource updates. So this will move very, very quickly. So we'll be able to hit the ground running. And
you're well financed to carry through your program?
We're well financed. So we just raised, concurrent with the acquisition, we raised 3.8 million Canadian. So we have enough to kick off immediately with the drilling and keep things moving forward. So as I say, there'll be a lot of news flow over the coming months. So,
very good.
So we look forward to keeping the market, yourself and the market, informed.
Yeah, some good results in an upturning market too, I believe, in the fall and so forth. So excellent. Well, thank you very much. It's really great to meet up with you.
Thanks, Jay.
First time I think I met you
personally.
It's a pleasure to do so.
Great pleasure. Thank you, Jay.